Imagine a man standing in a darkened room, watching a screen that doesn't show stock tickers, candle charts, or complex derivatives. Instead, he is watching a series of heat maps representing the micro-behaviors of 10,000 anonymous traders in Lower Manhattan. He isn't looking for financial data. He's looking for a twitch. He discovered a psychological cheap trick that is so simple it's almost offensive to the billion-dollar institutions it exploited. He realized that when a professional trader begins to lose money, they don't immediately sell. Instead, they perform a specific, ritualistic digital action. They refresh their private news terminal exactly 3 times in rapid succession. It is a subconscious denial loop, a digital plea for a different reality. By monitoring the surge in server pings to these specific news feeds, not the news itself, but the frantic request for it, could see a panic forming in the collective nervous system of Wall Street up to 30 seconds before the first sell order hit the floor. He wasn't faster than the computers. He was faster than the human ego. In those 30 seconds, while the world's most powerful minds were paralyzed by the hope that they weren't wrong, he was already moving their money into his own pockets. He didn't hack the exchange. He hacked the 4-second delay between a human feeling fear and a human admitting it. We are taught to believe that Wall Street is a citadel of cold, hard logic, a place where the most brilliant minds use the most advanced mathematics to move the gears of the world. We see the glass towers, the bespoke suits, and the staggering rows of flickering monitors, and we assume there is a plan. But this man, a ghost in the digital periphery, saw the truth that no one on the inside dared to admit. The entire global financial system is nothing more than a giant, high-speed recording of human insecurity. He understood that the bigger the player, the more predictable the pattern. You see, the human brain is not wired for the modern stock market. We are still the same creatures that roam the savannah, programmed to run when the rest of the tribe runs. On Wall Street, this is called liquidity, but to our hacker, it was just a stampede. He spent years studying the emotional resonance of the market. He noticed that the smart money followed a rhythm of arrogance followed by absolute terror. When things are going well, traders become convinced of their own genius. They take bigger risks, they ignore the warning signs, and they build a house of cards out of their own vanity. This is the predatory phase, where everyone believes they are the hunter. But the moment a single card wobbles, the hunter becomes the prey. He realized that Wall Street's greatest weakness isn't a lack of data, but an overload of it. When people are overwhelmed with information, they stop thinking for themselves and start looking for a signal from the crowd. They look for a leader to tell them it's okay, or they look for a trend to hide in. He didn't need to predict the future. He just had to predict the reaction to the present. He treated the market like a giant pressurized tank of water. If you tap the glass in just the right spot, you don't just create a sound. You create a shockwave that travels through the entire medium. He would look for tension points, stocks or commodities that were over-leveraged, where everyone was leaning in the same direction. Then he would wait for the smallest spark of uncertainty. It could be a vaguely worded tweet from a mid-level politician or a minor supply chain delay in a remote part of the world. To a rational observer, these events meant nothing. To a room full of people who are terrified of losing their bonuses, their reputations, and their lifestyles, it was the sound of a twig snapping in the dark. He watched the herd mentality take over in real time. It's a fascinating, terrifying thing to witness. The moment logic evaporates and is replaced by a singular burning desire to not be the last one left in the room. He called this the exit velocity. He knew that when the panic starts, the smartest guys in the room become the most dangerous to themselves. They don't just sell. They puke their positions, dumping billions of dollars of value in a frantic attempt to find safety. Because they all use the same sophisticated algorithms. Those algorithms all trigger at the exact same price points, creating a cascading waterfall of selling that no human can stop. He didn't fight the waterfall. He stood at the bottom with a bucket. He understood the sunk cost fallacy better than any psychology professor. He saw how traders would double down on a losing bet because they couldn't face the humiliation of being wrong. He watched them pour good money after bad, creating a temporary bubble of denial that he could exploit. He would wait for that bubble to reach its maximum tension, the point where the emotional pain of holding onto the lie became greater than the financial cost of letting go. When that bubble burst, the move was always violent, always predictable, and always profitable for the man who was waiting in the silence. He didn't need insider access because the insiders were shouting their intentions through their own heart rates. He saw the market as a series of echoes. A major event happens, and the initial reaction is the first wave. But the second wave, the reaction to the reaction, is where the real money is made. That's the wave of regret, the wave of people realizing they overreacted, or the wave of people realizing they didn't react fast enough. He positioned himself in the gaps between those waves, in the dead air where the algorithms were recalibrating and the humans were still catching their breath. He was a master of the reverse bluff. He knew that if he could make the market look like it was about to do something, the market would actually do it out of sheer self-fulfilling prophecy. If you make enough people believe a crash is coming, they will sell, and their selling will cause the crash. He was the conductor of a symphony of fear, and he didn't have to play a single note of his own. He just had to point the baton. This isn't a story about a thief. It's a story about a mirror. He held a mirror up to the face of global capitalism and showed that it was sweating. He proved that you can spend trillions on technology, you can hire the best mathematicians from MIT, and you can build servers in the side of mountains to shave a nanosecond off a trade, but you can never outrun the fact that the person pressing the button is a fragile emotional animal. The millions he earned weren't stolen from the system. They were simply the tax the system pays for its own lack of self-awareness. He became a ghost, moving through the wealth of nations without leaving a fingerprint. Because how can you arrest a man for knowing how you feel before you do? He didn't break the laws of the land. He simply mastered the laws of the mind. He eventually walked away, not because the game was too hard, but because he realized the house wasn't actually built of stone. It was built of breath and hope and the desperate need for tomorrow to look like yesterday. He left the kings of Wall Street to their towers and their data, knowing that at any moment, a single simple psychological twitch could bring it all down again. The towers still glow in the night, and the news tickers still scream their constant, urgent updates. The traders still believe they are the masters of the universe, convinced that their latest AI model has finally conquered the chaos of the world. But somewhere, perhaps in another quiet room with a different set of screens, someone else is watching the refresh buttons. Someone else is measuring the silence between the heartbeat and the trade. And as you watch the numbers move today, as you see the sudden spikes and the unexplained dips, you have to ask yourself a very uncomfortable question. Is the market actually a sophisticated engine of human progress, or is it just a massive high-speed feedback loop of our own deepest fears? Are the people running the world truly the smartest minds of our generation, or are they just the ones most trapped in a pattern they can't even see? The hacker knew the answer. He knew that on Wall Street, the only thing more certain than the math is the fact that eventually everyone flinches. And the person who wins isn't the one with the most information. It's the one who knows exactly what you were going to do when you realize you re-lost. Do you still think they're in control, or are they just waiting for the next 4 seconds of silence?